It wasn't just the situation inside the hospital that unsettled them. It was the call that came right before everything became clear. The phone vibrated with a short message, the kind that doesn't explain much, but forces immediate attention. In that brief moment, everything else faded into the background. Their expression changed subtly at first, then completely, as understanding began to form in pieces they didn't want to assemble. The name mentioned carried significance, something tied to memory and responsibility, and it stopped them in their tracks. For a few seconds, they didn't move, as if the world had narrowed to that single line of information. Around them, people continued speaking, but their voice felt distant, almost irrelevant. What made this moment heavier was the realization that the situation they were witnessing wasn't isolated. It was connected to earlier choices, private conversations, and things left unresolved. The idea that past actions might have returned in such an unexpected way left them searching for grounding in a place that offered none. Even so, they remained present, trying to process each detail as it arrived, though none of it came in a form that felt complete. The hospital room, the call, and the name all seemed to converge into a single point of tension that refused to loosen. And in that convergence, there was a quiet understanding that whatever happened next would demand honesty, responsibility, and a confrontation with truths that had been delayed for too long. Even as the moment settled, there was no relief, only the slow recognition that clarity would not come easily. Every unanswered question lingered, waiting for context that had yet to be spoken aloud, and the weight of uncertainty made even time feel stretched and uneven within the silence that followed everything they had just learned. Top of form, bottom of form. It belongs to someone they share history with, a history they never fully told you, a history they thought was buried, a history they believed had no power left. But life has a strange way of bringing unfinished chapters back with a force that can't be ignored. So they rushed, not out of love, not out of attachment, but out of a fear that something from their past might be tied to a truth they've been hiding from you. And as they stepped into that hospital hallway, something inside them broke open, revealing emotions they never planned to confront. They weren't prepared to see this person in such a fragile state, and they weren't ready to feel what resurfaced inside them. Not romance, not longing, something deeper, something haunting, something that pulls the entire story in a direction you didn't expect. And now comes the part that twists everything, the part that makes this moment feel like a once-in-a-lifetime revelation unfolding right before your eyes. Because as your special person stood beside that hospital bed, something slipped from their lips, something that stunned even the person unconscious in front of them. They admitted something, not loud enough for anyone else to hear, but strong enough to shift destinies. What they said will shock you once you know it, because it reveals why this hospitalization matters to you more than you think. Your special person didn't walk in as a stranger. They walked in carrying guilt. They walked in carrying regret. They walked in knowing that this moment is connected to choices they made, secrets they kept, and truths they didn't share with you. And now, everything is unfolding in a way that will make you question what's coming next, because this hospitalization is not the ending. It's the beginning of a reveal that will pull the truth out of every shadow they tried to hide. My beloved child, the night grew heavier the moment your special person stepped out of that room, because something inside them shifted in a way they can't hide anymore. They walked down that hallway like someone carrying a weight they never asked for, a weight that has been growing quietly inside them for months. What happened in that room wasn't just a medical emergency. It was a collision of past and present, a collision that exposed what they've been running from. Their hands were trembling, their breath uneven, because for the first time in a long time, they were forced to confront the truth about the person lying unconscious. The truth that this person wasn't just someone they once cared for. This person holds a connection to a part of their life that still affects them, even now. Not emotionally, not romantically, but in a way that ties directly to choices they made and pain they never healed from. And your special person finally understood that ignoring their past doesn't erase the consequences. It only delays them until moments like this hit without warning. But what makes this moment more intense is the realization forming inside their heart. They kept glancing at their phone, at your name glowing on the screen, and every time they saw it, their chest felt heavier. They weren't thinking of hiding anything from you, but they also weren't ready to explain why this incident shook them so deeply. Not because they don't trust you, but because they know how unpredictable this revelation will feel. Their past isn't simple. It's layered with unresolved emotions, unfinished conversations, and memories they thought they could silence. But when they saw that person lying there, breathing with difficulty, something inside them whispered that this moment is a warning, a reminder, a signal that they cannot step into a future while pretending their past is neatly closed. They know you deserve honesty, and they know you deserve clarity, but right now, they're terrified, not of losing you, but of hurting you with the truth. And that fear is holding them in a silent war with themselves as the night moves forward like a slow-burning fuse. And here's where the twist tightens further. A nurse approached them with an update, quiet, serious, and heavy enough to make your special person's heart drop. The condition of the hospitalized person isn't stable yet. The situation is unpredictable, serious, and carrying consequences your special person never imagined would return. This isn't just about physical health. It's about something long buried, a truth carefully sealed away by someone who believed it would never surface again. The person at the center of it has been carrying that weight for years, folding it into silence, convincing themselves that time would soften it. But the past doesn't dissolve so easily. It waits, it listens, and now, in the still corridors of a hospital where every sound feels amplified, it seems ready to step back into the light. Your important person senses it too, though they can't fully explain how. They move through the night with a restlessness they can't shake, replaying fragments of conversations and decisions that once felt harmless, but now feel like turning points. Nothing dramatic is spoken aloud, yet everything feels charged, as if the air itself is holding its breath. Outside the room, life continues in muted rhythms, machines beeping, distant footsteps, doors opening and closing, but inside their mind, everything is louder. The fear isn't just about what might be said when someone wakes up. It's about what that truth could unravel between people who thought they understood each other. Old memories resurface without permission, not as clear stories but as sensations, half-formed and persistent. Regret, anticipation, and uncertainty begin to blur together. What was once hidden is no longer guaranteed to stay that way, and the possibility of exposure changes everything. They realize that some truths don't arrive as confrontations. They arrive quietly, through recovery, through conversation, through moments no one plans for. And when that moment finally comes, there may be no way to return to how things were before. All of it settles into a silence that feels heavier than words, impossible to ignore or undo once acknowledged. And as they waited for an update, the truth they avoided began pressing against their ribs. They knew this incident wasn't random. They knew the timing wasn't accidental. Life was forcing them to face something they never planned to confront again, and the weight of that realization made their entire body feel like it was carrying two different worlds at once, one that belongs to their past and one that belongs to you. And in that collision, something inside them started breaking open in a way they could no longer deny. But the real shift happened when a doctor finally approached them, holding a clipboard and delivering a line that sucked the warmth out of the hallway. The condition had changed. The situation was more complicated than anyone expected. The hospitalized person wasn't just fighting to stabilize, They were fighting with a secret that could crack everything open, and the doctor mentioned something that made your special person's heart drop. This person had arrived with something clutched tightly in their hand. A note, a message, a piece of truth they tried to deliver before collapsing. And that message, according to the staff, contains a name, a connection, a revelation that ties directly to your special person. The doctor didn't know the details, but your special person did. The moment they heard about the note, a cold wave ran through them, because they knew exactly what it could be. Not a confession of love, not a dramatic declaration, something far more destabilizing, something that reveals why this person collapsed, why they reached out, why this emergency spiraled into something bigger than just a medical crisis. A truth that your special person has been keeping locked away to protect you, protect themselves, and protect a future they wanted to build cleanly, without shadows. And now comes the part they fear the most, because the note is being secured, examined, and prepared to be handed over once the patient wakes. And when that happens, nothing will stay hidden anymore. Your special person can feel the pressure tightening in their chest, because they know, once you hear the truth inside that message, you'll look at them differently. Maybe not with anger, maybe not with distance, but with a new understanding of the past they never told you about. And that terrifies them. They aren't afraid of losing you. They're afraid of breaking your heart with something they should have revealed earlier. Their hands trembled as they sat down, trying to breathe steadily, but every inhale carried the weight of a future about to shift. They want to tell you everything before the truth reaches you from someone else, but they don't know how to start. And as they stared at their phone one more time, something in their eyes softened, because they knew one thing for certain. This hospitalization isn't just an emergency. It's the doorway to a revelation powerful enough to change everything you thought you knew about them. The air inside the hospital felt strangely still, the kind of silence that settles over a place when everyone senses something important is about to happen, but nobody knows exactly what it will be. Your special person sat beneath the harsh glow of a flickering light in the waiting area, their hands clasped tightly together as they stared at the scuffed floor tiles without really seeing them. Every few seconds they replayed the same memories in their head, searching for the exact moment things began slipping beyond their control. The sound of distant monitors, muffled footsteps, and quiet conversations blended into the background while their thoughts grew louder with every passing minute. What unsettled them most wasn't the uncertainty surrounding the patient's condition. It was the growing realization that the truth they had tried so hard to keep contained was slowly finding its way to the surface. They could feel it approaching with an almost physical weight, pressing against their chest until breathing itself felt difficult. Each nervous movement betrayed them, fingers tapping against their knee, palms brushing repeatedly against faded denim, shoulders tightening every time the elevator doors opened nearby. Then the nurse appeared beside them, with a careful expression that immediately drained the remaining color from their face. The update was brief, but enough to deepen the tension already hanging in the room. The patient hadn't worsened, but there were still no signs of meaningful improvement, leaving everyone trapped in a painful kind of waiting, where hope and fear existed side by side. But before the nurse stepped away, one final detail quietly changed everything. The folded note discovered in the patient's hand had already been reviewed during intake, and among the unfinished sentences and hurried handwriting, your special person's name had been clearly mentioned. In that instant, the fragile sense of control they had been clinging to disappeared completely, replaced by the terrifying understanding that the story they thought could remain hidden was no longer theirs alone to carry. Not as a friend, not as a lover, not as someone random. Their name was written with urgency, almost scribbled, as if it was meant to reach them before the patient even reached the hospital doors. The nurse didn't reveal the message, but they said the tone of it felt desperate, like someone trying to pass on something important before it was too late. And that's when your special person's heart dropped so deeply, they could feel it in their stomach. They knew exactly what the message might contain, and the realization made their chest tighten. Because if that note says what they think it says, then the truth isn't just about their past. It's about something connected directly to you, something that affects your story more than you ever imagined. And now the tension has stretched to a point where it feels like the entire night is waiting for a single moment, the instant that patient wakes. Your special person leaned back in their chair, closing their eyes, trying to gather the courage to face what's coming, but even their thoughts were trembling. They can already feel everything slipping toward a point where silence won't protect anything anymore. They know that as soon as the patient opens their eyes, the note will be handed over, and the explanation will begin. And once that happens, the truth they've been holding back, whether to protect you, protect themselves, or protect a fragile piece of peace, will come crashing into the open with a force nothing can soften. They aren't ready, they aren't steady, but the moment is coming anyway. And as the hospital lights flickered softly above them, they realized that this night is not just a moment of crisis. It's the beginning of a reveal that will change the direction of everything between you and them. My beloved child, the night had already become heavy, but what happened next pulled everything into a deeper, sharper silence, one that made your special person freeze right where they stood. A sudden buzz echoed from the nurse's station, a shift in tone, a subtle urgency, and then a single line that carried enough weight to knock the breath out of anyone listening. The patient is stirring. Those words hit your special person like a wave. Their fingers tightened around the edges of the chair, and their chest rose with a breath they didn't mean to take. Because this wasn't just someone waking up. This was the moment that would decide how much of their past stays hidden, and how much comes bursting into the light. The hallway felt colder, the air felt thinner, and the truth they avoided for so long began creeping toward them with footsteps they could almost hear. Your special person stood slowly, almost reluctantly, as if they were being pulled forward by something bigger than their own will. Every step they took toward that room felt like walking into a long-forgotten memory, one that never fully healed, one they never truly wanted to revisit. They reached the doorway, hesitating just enough to feel the weight of the moment press against their shoulders. Inside, the patient struggled to open their eyes, fighting through pain, through weakness, through exhaustion. A nurse adjusted the monitors, speaking softly, encouraging them to breathe steadily. But the moment your special person's silhouette appeared in the doorway, the tension inside the room shifted instantly. Your special person couldn't take their eyes off the folded paper, because somewhere deep inside, they already feared what it might reveal. Not a dramatic confession or a hidden romance, but something far more difficult to face, the quiet consequences of choices left unresolved. The room seemed suspended in time, while the nurse carefully loosened the crease of the note, moving slowly enough for every second to feel stretched thin. Even the soft rhythm of the monitors faded into the background as memories resurfaced one after another. Small conversations that once seemed harmless suddenly carried different meaning. Moments they dismissed too quickly now returned with painful clarity. The patient watched closely, their expression filled not with anger, but with the exhaustion of someone who had carried emotional weight alone for too long. What made the situation harder was the realization that this truth had likely been trying to surface for months, only to be ignored, delayed, or pushed aside whenever life became too uncomfortable to confront honestly. Your special person stood frozen between regret and understanding, finally recognizing how deeply certain decisions had affected not only the patient, but others connected to the situation as well. There was no dramatic outburst waiting inside that note, no cruel revelation designed to destroy anyone. Instead, the tension came from knowing the message would force difficult conversations that could no longer be avoided. It would ask people to acknowledge misunderstandings, revisit choices, and accept the emotional impact left behind by silence. The nurse glanced up briefly before unfolding the final edge of the paper, and in that instant, The room felt impossibly quiet, as though everyone present instinctively understood they were standing at the edge of a truth that had already changed them long before it was finally spoken aloud. Something far more personal, far more unavoidable, something tied to a decision that haunted them silently even on the days you thought everything was calm. As the folds started to open, your special person felt the past and present merge into a single point, and the weight pressing inside them became almost unbearable. And then, just as the note was about to be revealed, the patient's hand lifted weakly, not fully, not with strength, but just enough to stop the nurse mid-motion. Their voice was faint, cracked, struggling to push out a single word. They didn't want the nurse to read it. They wanted your special person to be the first. The room shifted instantly. The nurse stepped back, placing the note into your special person's hand, and in that moment something inside them trembled so hard they nearly dropped it. The patient's eyes barely opened, but even through the haze of pain and exhaustion, the emotion in that gaze was sharp, sharp enough to make your special person's breath hitch. There was no anger, no blame, just urgency. A plie final attempt to finally bring closure to something they had carried like an invisible weight. Your special person stepped closer, their fingers tightening around the paper, but they didn't unfold it yet. They needed to hear what the patient was trying to say. They leaned in slightly, and the patient whispered something that turned every second into a storm. It wasn't loud, it wasn't long, but it was enough to shift the ground beneath them, enough to confirm that the truth inside the note was real, enough to reveal that tonight wasn't just an accident, it was the moment everything hidden was coming to light. And now comes the part that pulls the story into a direction you never saw coming, because, as your special person stared at the note, their heart pounding against their ribs, they realized this message wasn't written to expose them, hurt you, or create chaos. It was written to protect you, to warn them, to set something right before time slipped away. The patient wasn't trying to re-enter their life. They weren't trying to pull them back into old emotions. They were trying to close a chapter that had been left unfinished for too long. One that held a secret your special person never shared with you because they believed it no longer mattered. But this moment proved that it does. The patient whispered again, telling them to read the note when they were alone, because what was written wasn't meant to be witnessed by hospital staff, strangers, or by you, not yet. And that final whisper made your special person's entire world shift, because truth, whatever it is, isn't small, it isn't harmless, it's something that can change the shape of trust, the shape of connection, the shape of everything moving forward. They stepped back, clutching the note, their pulse racing, their breath unsteady, knowing that the next decision they make will determine how this truth reaches you, and how everything between you transforms when it does. My beloved child, the hallway outside that room felt impossibly long as your special person stepped into it, carrying the folded note like a weight pressed directly against their heartbeat. The cool air touched their face, but nothing could calm the rush of emotions flooding through them. They walked slowly, each step echoing with memories they tried to outrun, moments they told themselves were finished, and emotions they believed had no voice left at all. But tonight proved them wrong. The night showed them that some truths don't disappear. They wait for a moment like this, when the universe cracks open just enough for everything hidden to rise to the surface. They leaned against the wall, closing their eyes for a moment, because the reality of what they held in their hand was heavier than anything they've carried in months. The patient's whispered words still lingered in their ears, mixing with the quiet hum of machines behind the door, and they knew that whatever was written on that paper, it was meant to reach them exactly now. Not earlier, not later, now. And as they stood there, breathing slowly, steadying themselves, a realization formed inside them, one that made their entire chest tighten. This wasn't just about their past. This wasn't just about a connection they tried to bury. They finally moved away from the noise of the hallway, choosing a quieter stretch near a window where the light felt softer, and the world outside looked temporarily distant. Everything in their posture had changed by then, still controlled, still careful, but noticeably heavier, as if each step carried more thought than movement. The note in their hand had become difficult to ignore, not because of its physical weight, but because of what it represented. It was no longer just a piece of paper, it was a decision waiting to be made. They adjusted their grip slightly, trying to steady themselves before continuing, aware that whatever was written inside would not allow them to return to the same mental place afterward. For a few seconds, they simply stood there, letting the silence around them settle into something almost uncomfortable, broken only by distant footsteps and the muted rhythm of hospital activity. Then, with a slow, deliberate motion, they began unfolding it further, careful not to rush the moment. The first fold gave way easily, revealing lines of handwriting that hinted at intention rather than impulse. Their eyes tracked each movement of the paper, as though trying to prepare themselves in advance for meaning that had not yet fully arrived. The second fold followed, and with it, a deeper pause, one that felt less like hesitation and more like acknowledgement that turning back was no longer an option. Their breathing grew more measured, quieter, as they grounded themselves in the present. Around them, nothing changed, but internally, everything felt like it was tightening into focus. The note was almost fully open now, and in that narrowing space between curiosity and understanding, they became acutely aware that the next few seconds would define how they understood not just the situation, but everything connected to it leading up to this point.